but he himself.
Police were called out to a dispute at a church this morning. 16 WAPT's Allie Ware tells us what had this congregation divided, leading to an unruly situation.
God is not the author of confusion.
Worship services at New Galilean Church did not take place as normal Sunday morning. The members fighting and yelling over the current pastor. Things getting so heated, the police were called to get control of the situation.
This man was money hungry. He was after money because he came in spending money ridiculously. He was a manipulator. He was cunning.
Members say the current pastor took over the job when the previous pastor died. Some were unsure about him having the job from the beginning.
He built a church. He paid this church off. And you're going to let a Johnny come late to come in here and tear it up? When he was voted in, he only got 147 votes. On yesterday, we voted him out. Over 400 people voted him out.
The church board voted to terminate the pastor in a meeting Saturday, but not every member is behind that decision.
And I don't want him to go anywhere, because if he leaves, I'm leaving.
Andrew says she's been attending New Galilean since she was 8 years old, and that some of the congregation are spreading rumors and lies about what the pastor does with the church's finances.
He's a godly man, and he's not doing anything wrong, and I wish that they would stop.
The pastor was escorted out of the church Sunday, and the board says he won't be back. But others who were in support of the pastor say they are not backing down. In Jackson, Allie Ware, 16 WAPT News.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rechah HaKwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Also, sincere shalom to you other brethren, you followers of the truth, and mainly shalom to the elect. Anyway, I want to go on this video here, a form of dangerous Christianity. You have these churches now, I think almost every week there's a new story of these churches and pastors fighting amongst one another. Now, in this story, the pastor was voted out or whatever. They voted a new pastor in, and they said he was all about the money. Well, you know, it doesn't matter where you go in any of these Christian churches, it's always going to be about the money. All you do is follow the money. It's always about the money. You know, when are they getting someone righteous in these Christian clubhouses? Right? So, I don't know, man. I just wanted to touch on this for a bit because they talk about us Israelites and questioning our doctrines. But see, these Christian churches will never get right, as long as everybody sweeps everything under the rug. You can see the distress on these people's faces, the frustration of what the Christian church has done. I'll read a little of the article. It says, normal worship service at a Jackson, Mississippi church was halted Sunday after members erupted in an ugly brawl over their allegedly spendthrift, money-hungry, and disrespectful pastor who refused to relinquish his pulpit, right, after they voted him out a day before he reportedly abusing his role. So apparently he's managed to take the money and spend it on whatever he wanted. All they got to do is do it under the name of God and Jesus, and these people will spend their money. It's crazy how during slavery we got locked into this condition, and it's been passed on to generation, where now in this generation people are finally waking the hell up and coming out of there. But as you can see, it's the old jakes that continue to get caught up in the Christian church. Okay, it says the members of New Galilean Baptist Church said they also wanted their fairly new pastor, Orlando D. Franklin, out because his autocratic leadership, right, style, and his penchant for silencing congregants. right? Because we're in a time now people want to ask questions. Let me put this word in here, autocratic. Auto means can automatically. Absolute, charismatic. Okay, and so you have to have some form of hook. Now, everybody wanted him out, but there was a certain amount of people who wanted him to remain. Right? So they wanted him to continue to preach. They feel good about him. You know, the thing about these occultic practices, you know, once you forward yourself into that money and you start, you dedicate yourself to a particular practice, people are locked in. Even myself, I think we all like that. You know, where you get locked in to the doctrine. But somehow you're supposed to think for yourself and say, is this correct? You know, so really the Lord locks everybody in. There's nothing you can do about it. But once you start paying that money, like this Raptor News character, now you start looking at you will never feel like that you're wrong. You're in a great denial once you start spending money and supporting a cause. So you'll do everything you can to defend it. Okay, this is Mark 3:24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself, and he be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind up the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. And that's what these guys are seeing. The new pastor came and took over, you know, binding up the strong man's house to spoil it, you know. And I mean, the house was a spoil anyway. So I just thought that was interesting. Acts 7:48. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth in temples made. The Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. So these guys, they don't understand the truth. These are man-made altars, man-made temples, right? It is not the temple of the Most High, which we're building every week on the hedges, doing sit-downs. Where's Jesus? Jesus hasn't come back, did he? Right? This is Micah. This is Micah 3:11. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests therefore teach for hire, and the priests thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, is not the Lord among us? No evil can come upon us. Right? So 870-80. It says the practice of divination to Balaam, false prophets of Israel. Okay, so that's pretty much it on these guys, man. These churches are turning into madhouses. They're clubs, you know. They're church clubs. That's all they are, is a Sunday club. You know, and the Most High is spoiling these churches, right? So there's not much to report on, you know, these type of stories. You know, it tells you what it is already. The fact that the Christian church has failed the community. This is why it was all set up in these ghettos in the community, and a little bit of hard-earned money people are spending. They're taking it and abusing people with it, right? And taking captive silly women and taking their money and spending it on a lavish lifestyle. And in these churches you have adultery, abuse, coveting. No one of these Christian churches say, forget about the law, don't worry about the law. Because these guys want to have their way in their claws and their clutches in your wives and your daughters, your children, your bank account. That's how sick these guys are, man. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.